Hey guys, welcome to the Strongman Show. It's the 5th of October. We've got a few subjects to talk about. Uncle Oz back, as always, with Marcus Charman, the Caveman. How's things, buddy?
I'm good, mate. I'm not so bad. A little bit tired after the weekend, but all good. Yeah, it was busy.
It's been a long, hard weekend, hasn't it? There's been quite a bit going on Strongman-wise.
Yeah,
So we're gonna...
with obviously the deadlift attempts all the way through to UK's over in Crumlin Road again. It'd be nice to see that venue. It's a shame that obviously more people couldn't see that venue, but yeah,
Yeah,
lots.
it was a bit of a weird one. There's been very, very little online. Looks like they don't want the results going out there, which I always think is a shame. I think...
Yeah, well, you say about the result, but that's one of the things I did see actually posted, and from one of the main promoters themselves. I just think that in this day and age as well, when you have got chatter, that's as important sometimes as boots on the ground when it comes to competitions.
Getting the interest, that's what we need. I understand
Yeah.
you want it on the TV and stuff like that, but
We all find out anyway. It's
exactly.
about it's
we're
what's out
we're
there.
gonna talk about the top three because you and me completely got it wrong last week.
Yeah. And I apologise to anyone that is picking up what sounds like a murder scene out the back. We have actually got the builders in, so there's not much I can do about that bit.
Hopefully, it's not going to be too much. But anyway, UK Strongest Man 2020. There is a new champion, and there's been a bit of controversy this weekend with the UK's. It's a 3-day competition, very, very tough competition for those that have never seen or competed in it. Glenn Ross puts on a hard show, and whatever you think of Glenn and his shows, the UK is a very, very brutal show. You've got to get through 3 days of qualifying. So it's I think 4 events day 1, 4 events day 2, and then the 5 events in the final. It's all reset after each day, and they have an eliminator for the bottom 3. So if you're in the bottom 3 each day, they have a deadlift hold as an eliminator. So 3 guys head to head holding out this deadlift for as long as possible. And some of the guys, myself included in the past, you're sort of trying to save energy day 1, day 2 to get to the final and be as fresh as possible. And it sounds like there was a little bit of controversy with Paul Benton, who was the current champion. So Paul Benton, 2019 champion, is eliminated day 1. And now I wasn't there. I can't go on facts. All I can go on is what I've been told by a few different people. Now, from what I heard, there was a bit of controversy with scoring on certain events. Apparently, Paul was told he's qualified for day 2 already. So he went off to the hotel, didn't hang around to watch the evening's events, or the eliminator, sorry. And then there was a bit of dispute about some of the earlier scores, and things were checked over, and apparently scores were wrong. So the times that were taken for the log medley apparently were incorrect. And actually, it turns out he was in the bottom 3, had to do the eliminator. He's been rang up by Glenn Ross to come back and do it, and he's kicked off and said, "This is, BS.
Horseshit."
Yeah. He's not coming back, and he's buggered off. So
I've seen the post.
Yeah, you've seen the post.
I've seen his post as well. When he's
I've heard a few things from different guys. There's been some certain issues with scoring, and that's a shame that scoring has caused this issue. But if the score was wrong, then it needs to be corrected because you can't.
Reclassification of scores or reclassification of times, though. I think one of the talking points was that it was done off someone else's mobile phone.
Right.
Which ultimately mobile phones, if you stick them up and just do this, they're not going to start lying.
No.
But I do understand that. Do you know what? If people sit down at the time with the correct footage, because it is, it's a production. And you go off that to be doubly sure. And I can understand the process.
They're going to have the proper footage. So, I can't imagine they've changed the scores for things if there wasn't a reason to.
Yeah.
There's obviously something's been put down wrong. One of the athletes has disputed something, and rightly so. You would if your times were taken wrong on a certain event.
Yeah.
And
you always say, if the shoe's on the other foot, what would you do? If you feel disgruntled because your time's not right, and it's like, well, there it is. There's my time. That is correct. That puts me in the bottom the 3 when I don't mind doing it, but at the end of the day, I shouldn't be there, and it drags some other
And
poor
that's
sod
yeah.
in.
I think
You know,
I think to be, you know, I really can't say who's right or wrong in this situation when you're not. You know, we're going off different stories and people talking, and again, this is one of the reasons why we need to
but
stop messing around with these kind of shows that aren't, you know, put out. It's we're in 2020.
Yeah.
Let's stop messing around and trying to make strongman a little hidden secret. We're trying to make it a bigger, better sport. Let's do things properly. Let's make sure it's on a big stage, even in situations like this year where there's a lot of challenges to kind of think about.
Because hats off to them, because they get the show underway, and to actually put together a production over a couple of days, you know, fair play to you. You know,
the problem in prison, it's a great venue, to be honest. I don't know if you've ever been. I've been there. It's a cool looking venue, but these things shouldn't be happening. As an athlete, Paul's got to take responsibility. He shouldn't have been in the bottom 3. You know, he should have been making sure his performances were up to scratch. I know a lot of athletes have issues with Paul. Personally, I've never had an issue with him. He's always been very respectful, and I think he's a great athlete. But you have to take responsibility at the end of the day and make sure you're in the right position. Make sure you're looking at the scores yourself.
I do feel for anyone that you're told, right, okay, pack your bag, you can go now. Because
we don't know that he was told that. Okay, that's you know. Do you ever on the first day of a comp? Do you just sod off straight after without even watching the eliminator and stuff like that? You know, they hadn't even got the scores all finalized, and he's left. So. I'd be waiting around to watch that final event, see who's through to the next day.
Yeah, I'd park my bum. I'd get nice company, but I would disconnect from the competition mode.
You do.
Yeah, that's the one thing I'd probably do. That would take me a little bit. Yeah, that's Definitely. The wind out the sail. But
sure.
Ultimately, if he's been called back and didn't want to do it, that's on him. You know, that's But then all the sort of parting gifts afterwards with social media stuff, you can explain your point. You can be unhappy, you can be disgruntled and stuff. But realistically, it's personal preference. But the only thing that is kind of with Paul is that Paul's actually my first body power, and I actually watched him. You know, I've seen him do very, very well since because he's gutsy, gritty. It's just that
he's a good all-round athlete.
He's a guts and glory bloke. I quite like that. It's just that in terms of if your arm around the shoulder and he's your mate, and it's like, okay, where do you want to be? What do you want to do now? You know, is it getting to the point though where he's just going to be starting to be sort of limit where he can
See,
can
go? Personally, and I like Paul. I don't think he helps himself, and I've sort of been in comps with him before. I'm like, just calm down. He's a hot-headed guy. He'll react straight away. And sometimes that's not the best way to be. You need to kind of stay calm, stay level-headed, walk away, think, right, okay, come back, breathe, get on with things. Yeah. And, you know, when he's done that, he's done well.
I've watched him evolve quite a lot, you know, especially the year that he won. You know, there are moments, a little moment. I think if you've got quite an incendiary character, you're never going to tone that down. But, you know, he has grown, he has evolved. He's been a bit more sort of philosophical about things. But ultimately, if you've got, which I can understand, if you've got listen, this should just be better. If you've got a frustration, you can't hide that sometimes. But if it's come at a cost...
There's no need to hide it. I mean, I've had arguments with Glenn before at competitions, but I do it. I talk to him face to face. We sort things out and we move on. You can't be like doing it from behind closed doors and stuff like that.
Or over a tweet.
Over tweets, over, you know, talk to them, talk to these people face to face and sort the issues out. And that's, you know, it's sometimes... If this is the sport you want to be in, you've got to kind of face these people, and you know he's sort of, and he's like I said, I get on well with Paul, but I think sometimes he's his biggest enemy.
Yeah, I think we'll know the truth soon enough as it sort of all exactly all comes out in the wash.
When you read it all online, you're hearing one side and then another side, and it's
there are obviously other talking points. So there's a few surprises I think with a lot of lads. In the way that the competition kicked off, I think just the fact that you probably haven't had a few comps under your belt makes what is already a very tough challenge a lot tougher, because it comes as a system shock. Because as we say, everything from the logs, the logs are, the whole thing is weighted. It's not weight tacked on, so just cleaning it is a different kettle of fish. The yoke, as you know as well, it's not the easiest thing to pick up, and the fact that it's guarded front and back, you can't really get a stride. You need to watch your ankles, as both I think Colin in the past has found out, even Hicksy to his to his cost. And as I say, I think there are certain really good stories to come out of it, and none more so for me. I think in terms of watching a guy, when we talk about guts and glory as well, Phil Roberts getting through day one, getting into day two, and then the news that he's made the final. And what we're talking about, we're not talking about a tear. We're not talking about even just a year out for what he went through is, I've been on the receiving end of seeing these things.
Just for those that don't know, Phil had a horrific injury at Britain's Strongest Man. Was it 2018?
2018, yeah.
And I mean, we're talking horrific. Yeah. It was, he was fighting to save his leg at one point. They were talking about amputating his leg. The guy has come back and made the final, actually placed fifth.
Yeah.
And the placing is irrelevant. The fact that you can come back and you can compete at that level, that is hats off to the man, because, so many people would have given up a long time ago. They would have, people have given up for much less.
Yeah.
So I honestly, Phil's always had my respect as an athlete, but just as a person to kind of come back from that, I'm really pleased for him. And hopefully now he'll go on and keep enjoying it and do
that's
it.
That's said to you before, that wholesale shift in, he applied a huge amount of pressure to himself prior to the injury. The guy that's come back with this, I just want to stand there again. I just want to compete. I just want to enjoy it. That's magic, because he's I think that's probably the best performance he's ever, because of what he's been able to do and what he's come back from. It's just outstanding. And if you're just a fan of the sport, and if you've ever had an injury, and unfortunately through football, I've seen this type of injury, in terms of tackling, but never from a drop, never from a compression, from like a stone dropping on it. I was there at Brits, and I can honestly you just immediately, because of the manner in which it went down, just think, right, okay, he's done. That is it. You don't even have to wait until the following day.
We went and visited him up at the gym, and he had the cage around the knee, the leg. It was,
And he was a stubborn bastard then as well.
Yeah.
But what fair play to him, because the one thing he did say when everyone was posting up, you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be doing that. He said, I know what I'm doing. He said, I'm getting the advice. He said, before I even put weight on it, I get told I can do this, then I'm going to do it. And I think what he has actually done is, if he's been told that he has this amount of room to play with, he will use every millimetre of it.
Yeah.
And fair play to him, because physically is one thing. Psychologically, 99.9% of even athletes, I don't think, would come back from that.
Yeah. It's
because didn't he win or come second in things like the yoke?
I think he won it.
Yeah. Of which Phil's yoke is good. I would never say it's one of his, but there were some really good guys in there.
Phil's decent at yoke. I mean, last time I did UKs, he was good at the yoke. He's one of the few guys that's finished. When we did the heavy yoke last time I was at the UKs, only him and myself finished it.
Yeah.
And to put that kind of pressure through the leg again after that injury.
Yeah. Well, that tells you one thing. The only thing he's thinking about is, I'm going to finish this. That wouldn't even. I don't even think that must have entered his head.
I think he was there to win.
Yeah,
I really do. And I mean, let's talk. We haven't even mentioned the top three.
No. And it's a good day for the Dragons anyway.
Oh, the Welsh have turned up.
Yeah.
First time I think ever at the UKs, we've got a Welsh champion.
Yeah.
Gav Bilton smashed it.
Yeah.
I am so pleased for him. I actually didn't pick him out to win. I thought Gav would be fourth, fifth kind of position.
Yeah.
I've been, happily proven wrong.
Yeah.
He's put on so much size. I thought maybe he'd struggle a bit on certain events, the length of the competition perhaps. And it looked like on the first day he wasn't really doing great, but he was doing the professional thing, just doing enough to get.
Not necessarily pulling punches, but yeah, it's enough.
Just
it's enough.
getting through, because with the way the UK's works is every day it's reset from scratch.
And what is this? This is his third now, isn't it? Second or third?
I think it's his third UK's. So
yeah.
he's got the
So
experience now. He's been there.
exactly that. It's utilising that experience. And we said before, this is one of those things where, I think we had a bit of a chat about it in terms of, you'd want to think that, okay, you should be aiming to win, but you could quite happily see him being, fourth, fifth.
Yeah.
But the Giants live experience, Gav's taken some shit off of me. He really has. When the posts come out,
who hasn't? Because who hasn't?
Yeah, I know. But that's what is it? In a room full of 100 cuddles, one friend's always going to kick you in the ass.
Yeah.
Just to keep you sort of centered, and it's never the easiest thing to do. There's been a lot of lads on the receiving end of it, and Gav's been no different. And I've probably upset him a few times as well. And that I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and it's just like, okay. The lay down each time is right. Okay, well, you've shown nothing yet to actually get that increment. The difference sometimes in that increment is that you can make the hard yards, you can make this distance, but actually going from there to there is the hardest little bit. And I think those bits, those patient days of waiting and like getting the Giants call up, and he did well. But I think if you'd have set him down beforehand and said, right, okay, write down each one, where do you think you're going to be? I think he would have been under on certain ones. The realism of it, because obviously the compression of the event and the way that it goes about. But much like some of the other lesser known lads that have come out of that Europe's, the Giants Live competition, they've all suddenly just gone, want more. And it's opened up that level. And I think that's no different to someone like Gav. I think every time he's going to go in, he's not scared of being beaten. And I think that's a really good attribute. It's just that he's come away from it again, and it's just brought him on. And to actually now have a title under his belt, and I sent him a message earlier, and I just said, you're really in a good position now. I said, because you sit right in the middle. You have a lot to aim for, but you now got something to lose as well. If you can't be the hungriest you've ever been now, then all bets are off.
Yeah.
But no, he's in a good place. I am chuffed for him. But it's like, okay, you've won the championship. You're into the Premiership. No open top bus just yet. It's time to kick on.
Oh, definitely. The fact that winning titles is hard.
Yeah.
I know that sounds stupid to say, but winning is a skill. You've got to get over that first finishing line. It starts making things a little bit easier sometimes. I mean, it's harder in a way because you get that target on your back now. He's like UK strong because look, the last year's winner out on day one, the winner from the year before out on day two.
Yep. And
when I was a defending champion, I came third the year I came back, and I was expected to win. It's hard to repeat those titles, especially at that show.
Yeah. Where every day is a reset as well.
And there's one thing that you've got to give Glenn credit for is the variety that it puts into the shows. Yeah. Every single contest is different.
They're a test. They're a proper test.
And you could put a different set of events that Glenn might put up, and you might have had fifth place might have come first, or one of the guys who didn't get through on day two might have come first.
And that's where, as I say, I think Gav deserves the credit as well, because he knows the format now. If it is it's year 3, and he's done what it's taken to win. And as he said, that in itself, the skill of learning how to win, how to cross the line. We've all seen in different sports that we've been involved in, we've seen some very, very talented people. Your ability to learn how to cross a line is an entirely different factor. And if he's starting to get that, good on him, because he will be dangerous.
You think we're going to see him really go on now and become a world contender?
I really hope so. I really hope so.
I think
because
you
can't doubt. Well, he's got a brilliant frame. His background is beyond athletic, and this is the bit that's the frustration. It belies, what you sort of see, because obviously and we do take the piss out of his paunch, even all the lads. But this is a guy that's got he's just got huge. I think he will, but let's not forget, what did Hathor look like when he turned up?
Yeah.
Big tubby baby.
Yeah, he was.
Big tubby baby. And all of a sudden he starts to refine himself, hone through experience. Now, if Gav can do anywhere near similar, then he's not going to be in a bad place, because, in certain ways, Gav, as an all-round physical athlete, not a basketball player as such, and I know it's a tough game, But when you've been a rugby player and a boxer, there's two things in there. There's that mentality that goes along with it as well, and that fighter spirit. He could be very dangerous.
You know, when we talk about the best British guys, you know, you talk about the Tom Stoltmans, you talk about the Luke Richardsons. You know, Tom is a physical specimen. Luke, not so much. Luke's just graft.
Yeah.
Gav is another physical specimen.
Yeah.
When you're a physical specimen and you can put that hard graft in as well, special things kind of happen. It's like, you know, you become the likes of Brian Shaw, the likes of Hafthor Bjornsson.
Yeah.
Incredible athletes that then, with that determination, that hard work, that drive, they become, you know, they go into that argument of best of all time.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
I'm certainly, you know, I'm not putting Gav in that argument, but he's got the frame that if he decides to put that effort in, who knows how far he can go.
This is a guy that stood in a ring. You know, and that.
Let's not go on to boxing.
No. But in terms of a mindset, you know, it does make a big difference. You've done martial arts, so you get that. You understand that little bit. There is a lot to be said about being able to sort of stand there, have that proper self-confidence.
You become not this a competitor.
Yeah, exactly. But also you want to win, and you know what it takes to win. Right. So no, that'd be good.
Let's talk about the next two men. Second place, Mark Felix. He replaced, you know, we spoke about Terry Hollands last week.
Yes.
Found out just after Terry pulled out, Mark Felix replacing Terry. And Mark Felix at 54 years old, is he now?
72.
You know, he just takes every single opportunity. And here he is, second place at UK's Strongest Man.
And loving it.
Just
always with a smile, you know, killing it on deadlift again. You know,
breaking the British record, was it, or the world
British record? I think. Yeah, I think it's the British record.
18-inch dead. I think it was the world record, actually.
Was that Raunos then, from back in the day?
You know what? Like, I've got to be honest. You know, I've not seen results from this show. Everything's been kept hush hush. So I won't go saying it's a world record or anything. But winning the competition with ease on the 18-inch deadlift and.
Yeah, and he's 11 years older than me, and I consider myself old. You know, he is phenomenal. And it's, you know, Mark turns up, does comps, goes to work. Yeah. You know, when we're seeing everywhere people sort of pile themselves into cars and
time as a plasterer.
Yeah, physical job.
Physical job.
But he always said that about, you know, he does it because he absolutely loves it. It's an enjoyment, and that's the bit that keeps you ticking, keeps you going. And whilst he's competitive still. He's still competitive. And there's certain bits, okay, you're never going to reclaim. But we spoke about this in a previous chat in terms of that reinvention. Those times that you know, if you lose your pace, you suddenly, all of a sudden, you have to develop some nous. Mark, not necessarily complete reinvention, but he's clever. He is clever, and you don't pick up trophies if you're not clever, and fair play to him. It's brilliant to see, really is.
It gives guys like us, you know, inspiration that, you know, maybe there's still more to come.
Yeah, it's even in terms of just like stay in the mix. I always know what it's like when I first moved up north. The first thing he said as well was, you know, you can come and train. Yeah. You know what you do, and he's always interested in what you're doing. You know, are you keeping fit? Are you keeping active? Are you keeping healthy? And they're fair play to him because he lives the life. You know, this is a guy that eats well. You know, he just look at him. You know, there's a reason why I call him the Benjamin Button of Strongman. It's because it looks like the man is regressing, not getting older.
He actually, you know, he's sort of a few times over the kind of years, I've seen Mark Felix sort of dwindle down, and you think Mark's done now. Yeah. And then all of a sudden he's winning shows, he's podiuming, he's breaking world records. And then suddenly he's sort of down. You think he's finished, and he's back up again. And I'm talking, you know, I've known Mark 15 years, competed against Mark for 15 years. And over that time, there's been a number of times where I thought, he's finished. Keeps surprising us, keeps coming back.
I would love you to put together, I know this is going to take some research and this is going to put you on the spot a little bit, but just as a piece, I would love to see you feature in high-level competition, i.e. aired competition, every strongman he has competed against on televised. Do you know what I mean, though? But you know immediately as an exercise how vast, how many people that man would have stood shoulder to shoulder with, and in most parts beaten.
Yeah.
It's incredible, absolutely incredible when you look at because he spans so much of a generation. And you got to think, what did he start at 37 years of age? 37 he came in.
Yeah.
You know, it's just nuts, absolutely nuts. And this is a guy that's going to take, most appearances at, at Worlds. You run out of plaudits for him, but he's earned every one of them.
He definitely has. Let's talk about third place.
Yeah, another guy he's kind of been around for a bit, hasn't he? But in terms of his face belies his age as well, because he is a baby-faced boy. But Mark Jeans has been around for a little bit. Third place, again, another lad. He wanted to get back on the horse. He wanted to get back in. He took a little bit of a bit of a
break,
breather.
didn't he?
Yeah, a little bit of a breather. Found a bit of a passion for it. He's got a good little training community around him, and it's paid off. Yeah. Because. Again, just to make final of the UK is a tough ask. To get on the podium when everyone is pretty much ready to go, and fair play to him. I'm really quite chuffed as well, and that whole thing of the Welsh coming through, the training partner as well in Desi,
we've talked about how the Scottish have sort of become competitive over the last few years. The Welsh are there now as well. When you talk about UKs, you talk about Britons now. It's not just England dominating, which it was a few years ago. It's a real mixture. We've got great athletes coming through from all areas of the country, the UK, Britain, and a Welsh champion is. When was the last time you had a Welsh champion? Probably Gary Taylor was the last Welsh champion they had in anything. So
and we're going back a little bit of time there.
You're going back, a long time. So awesome to see. It's two of them on the podium. Fair play. That's got to be.
And as I say, there's a raft of guys, and then as I say, that whole thing about the English always, it goes sort of fairly recent times. Shahlaei, Hollands, Felix, and then you can throw a few names into the mix as well, and then it's got the more recent times as well with the Hicks, so on and so forth. Bishop. But then when you look at the Scots as well, you got Lewis Jacks come out of nowhere. He's only been around for a couple of years, and he's in the mix. Zaki, fair play to him. This is a guy that days before wasn't even too sure whether his arm was still attached to him, and it finds out it was sort of semi-dislocated, and he's in the mix. Tears a quad in the final day. And he was right there as well. But those guys, you've got a guy sat on the sidelines at the moment with a best part of a mashed foot in Scotty Milne, and as you say, then you got the Strongmans, then you got sort of Paul Benton, and the guys that you can pick from now. It's fantastic because it just shows a little bit of depth.
Level of the UK
it's gone up.
Strongman scene.
Yep.
Both male and female. In almost every weight class is high across the board. There's not just one guy dominating for years and years. I mean, obviously we had the reign of Eddie Hall. He was, the last guy you'd really say dominated. Yeah. But right now, you can have a different winner of every single comp that happens. You look at the way people talk about the Stoltmans, for instance. The Stoltmans, let's rein it in a little bit. They've still not won a major title.
No.
Other than, they've won the Scottish, both of them, but they've not been Britain's strongest man. And you think how people talk about them being contenders for Worlds, and they've not won the British. Yeah. It just shows the standard that we have in the UK when you've got guys like Bishop, you've got guys like Hicksy, you've got guys like Luke Richardson, that are winning shows. Every single show, it's a different winner right now. And that makes it exciting as a fan.
Yeah.
And
all of them bring a different level of character with them as well. If that's what I've always liked. I know that people try and paint this whole thing of it's an entertainment bit. I get that, but it comes from the natural character. That's where your fans align. You don't need to sort of zazz it up any more than that. Every athlete has their own, sort of fan base through their natural sort of attributes and their natural sort of being. I'm just waiting for this guy to come through this wall at the moment. It's terrifying me. What a time to do building work. It's sort of like, but no, there obviously there's a few things that sort of didn't go according to plan for certain athletes as well, and that is, Paradwire. Yep. I think by the sound of it, what is he tore out his hands.
I'm not sure what happened with Pa. So if you know,
I think he's got. I think he tore out, like a lot of lads did. I think a little lads
on the farmer's walk.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but and then day 2 is a load of grip events, and once you you can tape them, you can glue them, but once you've torn out, and it does
it's one of
does
those
get to you after a
situations that
while.
it's happened to all of us. You
Yeah,
know, the calluses get torn out, and
yeah.
it does make things hard.
And you've got some in people like Power as well. You've got cerebrally strong characters, and if it's not just a case of holding on, it just ruins it. Yeah, it feels like there's not much you can do, and then by the time that's kicked in, when everyone else is trying to inch forward, unless you're on song, unless you've got a little bit of luck with all these things, it's going to take its toll, and unfortunately it took its toll for him. Day one, what did we see? So we saw Paul Benton go out, we saw Andrew Flynn go out, I think. Then we saw both Ollie and Ryan Bennett go out from the previous group. Day 2 would have then been Para Dwyer and is it Matthew McKeegan?
Yeah.
And then I'm not too sure from the other group, thinking off the top of my head.
I think it was Desi and
yeah.
Can't remember the other one.
But the other Matthew, the other Irish lad, made it through to the final.
Yeah.
Which will be interesting to see because no disrespect, fella, but unless you're online and they put a few posts up, we're not going to see any of it until it gets to Christmas. We'd love to give you a little bit more coverage and say a little bit more about it, but
there's literally
our hands are tied.
No, so it's just one of those things. But
yeah.
Winner Gav Bilton, second place Mark Felix, third place Mark Jeans. Well done to the Welsh boys. Well done to Mark Felix. It's another new champion. So we're getting
Paul Smith, was he fourth?
Paul Smith was fourth. Yeah, Paul was my pick to win. Let me down, Paul. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
But
I think we need to club together and get him some new trainers, and we'll be fine. Yeah, I'm going to throw it in again, Paul. Every week you're going to get some sort of shit about your shoes.
It's and with Phil coming fifth as well.
Yeah.
Really, really, I'm looking forward to watching it. It's
but no, hats off to you boys for as I say, it's
it's a tough contest anyway. These guys had to compete 7 p.m. till about 1 in the morning.
Yeah,
in the pissing down rain. The conditions were horrible. So fair play to all of you. I've been in that position before. It's not easy. Well done, each and every one of you. You're all going to come back stronger and better next time. And just whether you won or you kind of came last, learn from it. I spoke to Ollie and Ryan, two of my lads that did it. First time for Ollie being at UK's. Unfortunately, Ollie picked up a back injury a couple of weeks ago. Felt it go on the yoke. We tried to do everything we can to sort of get him back into it. He was always going there for experience, and he, just seeing what the older guys have done, it's motivated him. He's still a junior. He's going to come back stronger. Ryan just missing out on getting through to the next day. But look at the standard of the groups. They were, they were really strong. He's getting better all the time, and all the lads.
And I've got to throw it in about the other lad in Group 2 on day 2 because
he liked to tell us, didn't he?
No, Ben Williams. Sorry, mate. I can't believe I forgot you.
Ben, yeah.
yeah. I'm so sorry. It's one of those ones where it's like, because you sort of think of sort of people and it kind of goes to the back of your head because you're trying to think of the people you don't know very well.
Again, another highly improved athlete, though.
Oh God, yeah, and that's again, it's all these lads that are sort of in the mix. And they get to rub shoulders, you can see the advancement. And there's going to be, when you've looked at some of the feeds that come back, obviously they can't post stuff out, but you look at the sort of vernacular that these guys have had afterwards. And there's probably about 3 or 4 guys.
Have a word, Marcus.
I know. There's about 3 or 4 guys that you look at off the back of this one and you go, do you know what? They'll be in the final, if not on a podium next year. Because they've just got that bit between the teeth now. It's all seen as a positive. So, yeah,
definitely. Anyway, moving on from the UK's, we had Andrea Thompson in the Worcester Feats of Strength, going for the women's strong woman deadlift world record. Now, I just want to point out, there's kind of a bit of controversy with this. Becca Swanson has the biggest female deadlift of all time. She pulled 310 kilos, which is absolutely incredible, and she deserves the respect. 310 kilos, which was done in a powerlifting contest with a suit, so in equipment. In strongman or strong woman, you're allowed suits, you're allowed to do it without suits, you're allowed to use wrist straps, you're allowed hitching. It's just about get it from A to B. It's rare. I mean, we say it's rare now, There was a point where the strongman deadlift was less than the powerlifting deadlift world record.
Yeah.
Obviously now it's kind of surpassed it, and I'm pretty sure it's not going to be long till the strongwoman deadlift surpasses the powerlifting record. But Becca deserves the credit that she needs. So we'll get that out the way straight away. But the record Andrew was going for was the strongwoman record, which was held by Melissa Edwards. So firstly, we wanted two things. We wanted the British record, which was held by Rhiannon Lovelace. Incredible lift by Rhiannon, a lighter body weight. Rhiannon did it in a suit, straps. Melissa did it in a suit, but without straps.
Yeah.
There's a bit of controversy with her lift because she dropped the lift.
Yeah.
But was given it. Still, it was a great lift. So Andrea was going without a suit, but with straps. It gets very, very confusing. But all three attempts are still absolutely fine in strongwoman. So I think when we get Andrea into a deadlift suit, she will take the all-time highest pull.
Yeah. I think she could do it without it anyway.
I think given time she could, but you know,
in terms of like, you know, the progression and the other things to concentrate on, it's not a sole event. You know, there's other things to worry about. But
the thing with Andrea, she's gone through a lot personally recently. Yeah. You know, and I'm not going to talk about what she's going through personally. That's for her. But and you know, we all go through issues. So sometimes you just got to block these things out and focus on your goals. But obviously, as a coach, I know what she's been going through. And it's been very, very hard for her. Her body weight has come down, the mental stress that she's been going through with family issues and stuff like that. From my point of view, to see what she's done over the last few months to go, you know, to get herself ready for this record and to not only to beat it, but to smash it, you know, I'm so proud of her.
That intent, that 280 opener, that showed you you know, as you say, you know, the crack behind this.
Originally, she wasn't going to do the 280 opener. She was going to go for the British record first. So we were going to go 275, then 285. That was the goal. But the 300, realistically, seeing how her training gone, seeing what things, you know, I never thought 300 was there. But I knew she wanted to attempt it. So it was like, all right, you can have your attempt at it. We'll see how close you are. But the goal was actually 285. That was my kind of focus. I was thinking, right, we can get 285, get the world record. She started warming up. She looked great. So, you know, we had a quick chat before it went on there. I was like, right, open on 280, then go 290 to push the record even higher. Yeah. And then you can have your crack at 300 still.
Yeah.
And her 280 opener, let's remember, that was a world record. It looked amazing.
It flew. It absolutely flew. You know, the hard bit is obviously when you see that, and then you just thought, okay, where are you going to go from this point onwards? You know, those people that was just, 300 is dead cert and stuff like that. It doesn't work that way. No. 20 kilos is a hell of a long way to go once you've done that. You know, and it was nice to see that sweet spotted, because the 290 is a great result and a great reflection of what she was able to do.
If people watch that 280, they'll go, oh yeah, she's got 300 or maybe more. And that's what happens. People see people do certain lifts. They'll pull them really well, but it doesn't take much for things to start faltering. And, you know, the 290, she worked hard for.
Yeah.
It was a good lift, but she worked hard for. Maybe there was a couple of kilos more in there. That was it. And she said to me afterwards, you know, she was disappointed she didn't get the 300. I said, look, you're just not strong enough for the 300 right now. No. I mean, her body weight was 102 kilos. Now, there's lots of people online say all sorts of crap about the women. How many 102 kilo men can deadlift 290?
Yeah.
All right, the elite strong men can, but how many men training in the gym?
But again, you're looking at even when you see the elites, the people that are training specifically for it. You know, when you actually break this down to what she was doing, you know, this wasn't really planned. No. This was just like, okay, we'll have a crack at it.
She had about 7 weeks to prepare for this. That was it. You know.
Midway when she was doing the sort of like the real drop down, let's do a bit of CrossFit and, you know, complete body recomposition for something other than what she's, for pulling tin. No, I think what she's done this year, and I put the post up yesterday, there aren't many people that can walk away from 2020, especially with all the other extracurricular stuff that's happened. You know, she's fucking owned it. She's owned 2020.
You know, as proud as I am of her, how good are the females from the UK right now? And not just the heavyweights, the middleweights, the lightweights. We've got so many talented girls in this country.
Yeah.
There's rumours of some big contests planned for the females, and I can't say too much right now, but it sounds like there's going to be some good things happening for the girls.
And I hope you get boots on the ground with it as well,
And
because that's it. When you get in,
I've got to stop referring to the women as girls because I got told off from ESPN.
Yeah.
It's hard because I know these people personally.
Yeah.
And it's just a friendly term, but to the kind of top guys at ESPN, they're like, you can't say that.
They are women. They are women, and they are leading from the front, and they've done an amazing job.
Incredible.
And that's
athletes.
the thing. I'm hoping with the scope and the way that it's going, one of the most saleable factors as well. I know people are going to always bang on about weight and stuff like that, but that can all be sort of binned off because comp is comp. But get to know them. Get boots on the ground, have a chat, show character. Because as I said, I always use the terminology the Jekyll and the Hyde. The person that turns up to the gym, and then the person that lifts at the gym, and the person that's comp. When you get to see some of these, these women up front, and you can see their character, see their nature, and see what they can then do, that's when you're drawn into the sport, and that's when you stand there and just give them a hell of a round of applause, because it is absolutely astounding what's going on right now. We're blessed.
We are. We're very, very lucky. We've got some incredible talent. Like I said, across the board. And when I say across the board, I'm talking males, females, lightweights, middleweights, heavyweights, disabled athletes. We've got so many good athletes in the UK. We're very blessed, and let's just hope it keeps progressing and we start
to capitalize on it.
Yeah,
time to capitalize on it. And it is, that's why it is good that you've got people like Wuss behind it at the moment and pushing that, because I've not seen a platform like that. Not where you've taken the time as well to see, as say, their pieces to camera, both Donna, Andrea as well, where you get to see their nature. I think is fantastic, because that's where you have got other women, other ladies around the country sat there just going, okay, they don't seem a million miles away. They seem normal. They are normal, right up until the point where they turn superhuman.
It's great because, when you've been at that level, that high level, and I always say, it sounds weird when I talk about myself as being at high level, because I am just a normal guy, but I was very, very good at what I did. Yeah. So I have that experience. And when you get like someone like Andrea and you kind of, or Donna or any of them, and I know what they're thinking, I know what they're going through. And it's a very strange feeling, because you put on this, you are for a day or for a moment, you're put on this pedestal and you're seen as, this incredible, world record holder or whatever it might be. And then the next day, you're back at home, you've got to sort out the kids for school, you've got to do your jobs, most of them all still work full time. And, I remember when I was working full time and I competed at World's Strongest Man. And then the next day you're back and you're doing like sweeping the floor, kind of cleaning up and stuff like that. And just like,
taking your suitcase, pull your pants in one go. 40 wash, try not to boil them.
But most of us are just pretty normal, down to earth kind of guys and girls, or women, sorry. And I think people like to relate to that. It's just we just so happen to be exceptionally good in a certain skill. We
got swept along with the whole build them up. And this is where promotion comes into it. People didn't stop being human. What happened is we accentuated that caricature of a person by building them up. And we lost a little bit, and we took into, American sports as well. And we looked into, the way that we would basically enhance the character. We left behind, the housewife. We left behind the builder. We left behind the secretary, left behind, the woman shop owner. We left behind all these things because that's not important. It's the most real thing. It's the most singular important thing going. It's because it doesn't matter. You can be all of these things, none of these things, and all of them at one point. You can be anything you want to be. And it's the most saleable fact for me is that I decided I wanted to, therefore I did. And what these women have done is they came through a point of where there was nothing. They did it because they really wanted to do it. And if there is an opportunity, exactly. And if there is an opportunity now for them to capitalize on it, please let them enjoy it. Build them up, buttercup, and just keep throwing. I know it sounds a bit sort of mental, but keep throwing opportunities at them. Because,
you see it in sports like UFC, for instance.
Yeah.
UFC, originally it was just all about the men and the heavyweight men. And then it started to become about all the weight classes. And then you started getting some female superstars. And, you know, now you've got different classes, weight
of
classes.
real substance and character. And that's what's nice to see.
And like
people
you say,
to hang your bloody cap on.
People buy into the character, not always the performance. The performance is definitely important, but the character and the person that they are just as important as well.
Yeah. And this is where the likes of Donna Moore does deserve a tip of the hat, because that was, you know, that was the quietly spoken, you know, yet romper stomper that showed those two polar opposites, you know, of where people were allowed to. And, you know, Andrea, by her own admission, was like, okay, that's the person to keep an eye on. And then all of a sudden you sit in the same room and say, do you know what, we're not too dissimilar. You know, just real again. Yeah. Yet all of a sudden it's that person that's right up there. It's no different to anyone watching. If that's where you want to be, all in.
100%. Right, talking of personality.
Yes.
I'm going to feature Caveman Corner. Who have we got this week?
I think the guy that I've picked this week will probably struggle to actually just get plaudits, you know, a little bit of focus, but by Christ, he deserves it. Young lad, 28 years of age, out of Georgia in America. He has competed at a very, very good level. He's done Giants USA. He's won America's Strongest Man. He's got a few records under his belt, yet he seems to go way under the radar.
Has he qualified for this year's Worlds?
I don't know. I don't think so.
All right. Okay.
I don't think so. No, but because if it goes on the Giants Live, that was Evan, Fee, Kevin Ferris. So they would be your placings for Worlds from America.
Where did he place? I know. I'm sorry.
I don't know.
I'll let you continue anyway.
Yeah. But what you've got in Wes is, you know, you've got grafters, and you know you've got people that maybe they don't help themselves because they're not about the self-promotion. They're just about, I'm just doing this because I really enjoy it. But sometimes you get that crossover of the ones that maybe they need a bit of a push. Trey Mitchell's an example of that. You know, but I'll let Wes introduce himself. Then you can have a look at some of the things that he's done. He's highly regarded as one of the best stone lifters in the world. And if you speak to a majority of the American strongmen, they will put him nearly top of the tree. Yes, we've got a Tom Stoltman coming inside of Europe. But if you want to see one of the best in the world at handling stones, you know, and the plaudits come thick and fast from the likes of your Ken McClellans, Travis Ortmeyer, so on and so forth. You know, this boy, Wesley Claborn, is something special.
Let's take a look.
Easy. Come on. Yep.
Hello, I am Wesley Claborn. I am 28. I am from the U.S. I live in Austell, Georgia. I have been competing in Strongman since 2009. My biggest accomplishments in the sport are winning 2019 America's Strongest Man, which qualified me to go to the Arnold Santa Monica. My other biggest accomplishment would be setting the American Atlas Stone record with 565 pounds at the Arnold. One of my other favorite events is the axle press. Hopefully I'll get a shot at the American record sometime soon. Currently I'm training for 2020 America's Strongest Man, and we'll see how that goes.
you can see, it's not like he's he's throwing these things around for fun. He's a bit special, Wes, and it would be when we've got things like feats of strength, and people are talking about all these different names, and there's wild cards. He's going to be another one that I'd always put in for a wild card pick. To
be winner of America's Strongest Man, that's a huge title to win.
Yeah.
And, when you watch his videos and you see how strong he is, this guy is the real deal. He's a great athlete. And again, someone that I'm sure if he hasn't got an invite this year to Worlds, because we don't know all the invites yet.
No.
I think being America's Strongest Man, that may be, that sometimes can get you to Worlds. It all depends on how many Americans are going. It'll come down to who struggles to get to the States this year. That's going to be a big issue and something that we'll have
to end up being very much like as Europe's was for us, in terms of, being able to put on a show. But Wes strikes me as the guy that, please, fella, if you're looking, understand that there are a number of people that have got eyes on and understand kind of where you're at. The game's not passed you by. It's just, it might be a reluctance. Not everyone's comfortable in front of a camera and stuff like that.
So many guys out there and girls that are so good. They're such great athletes, but they don't make the big noise on social media. They're not seen by people. And yet when they go to competition, they're always a threat. It's you don't always have to be the loud, brash people that get noticed in the end.
No, there's certain little things. When you talk about what the pandemic has done, it's brought all these little opportunities out. There are so many little side gigs that you can sort of see here. I'd love to see little sort of stone records being broken. Just, it doesn't have to be official. It doesn't have to be this. It doesn't have to be that. Just one strong man to the next. Just much like you do on sort of Twitter or Instagram, just sort of say, right, okay, this is what I can do. What can you do? Pass it on. Let's see where we can get to. And I would love to see who you'd pick in a row, just to sort of say, right, okay, I'm going to assemble my little 3-man team of stones. How many times we can get this 400 pound stone up? I'll have my 3 American athletes. You have your 3 European athletes. Let's see what we can get in the mix. Because it would throw up some very interesting results, because the names that you would try and conjure up might not be, the ones that would actually win. And Wes is definitely someone, if you ask me to pick, I'd go as far as to say top 3 to 4 people in the world at handling stones. I'd put Wesley Claborn in that.
I look forward to seeing it. Yeah. It's going to be, once we can really get all the top guys in the same place, then we're going to have some fun.
Yeah.
Right, last thing this week, we've got the log lift world record coming up. World Ultimate Strongman Feats of Strength Challenge this weekend. Rob Kearney taking on Luke Stoltman for the maximum log. Both of them going for national records.
Yep.
So, American record, which already stands from Rob himself. I think he got 218 kilos.
218 the last one to go for 219.
219. And Luke going for the British record, which currently is Graham Hicks's at 220. And then both of them hoping to then move up and take on what probably now has become a world record for the most attempts at a world record.
Yeah.
Zydrunas' log record, which currently stands at 228 kilograms.
Yeah.
Do you think we're going to see a world record?
Firstly, I know this was billed as a 3-way originally. So there is an admission in Graham Hicks. I believe he did hurt his wrist in a previous competition.
He's hurt his wrist at Europe's, and he wants to focus on World's Strongest Man. That's
which is with the timings. What we coming at we're in the start of October, which is fair enough. I do think, my personal feelings on it, I do think the most capable person is probably the one that is going to be missing. But then going back to the 2, showing how close Luke was in the previous, the manner, just the cleans alone, I'd love to give him a record just for that, because I don't think people can understand the magnitude of what he attempted there. I'm going to be brassy and just say Rob Kearney for 230 kilos. I just can't see it yet.
It's a big jump.
It is a huge jump. He was brilliant for the American record. Is he going to take his own record? Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. I think that's something that he will be absolutely nailed on to get. In terms of Luke getting the British, the way that he threw up weight in the last effort, if he's anywhere near yeah, he's probably going to take that one. Can he do the 230?
Well,
At some point, but probably not this time. It's just, do you know what? I genuinely think it's too close to the last one. I always believe there's a hangover.
I have the same kind of thought process, to be quite honest. Yeah. I think.
Let's see it next year, kid.
Yeah, with these kind of numbers, your body needs a little bit of a break. I think he's got worlds to focus on.
Yeah.
I think the British record, potentially.
Yeah.
I think the world record is going to be safe. But again, as always, I hope I'm proven wrong.
Yeah. If you've got those two, the two British lads, and we can see them at some point, and hopefully we get to do this next year.
And Iron Bibby. I'd like Iron Bibby to put into that mix.
Yeah, I think on a global side of it, but I'm just because it's, our shores, our lads, to see a head-to-head between them two would be fantastic. In the same room, all going at it, incremental, given time, everyone given the same treatment and all that sort of stuff, because as we have seen before in competition, Bibby gets like 3/4 of an hour to chill out. Hicksy's got 7 minutes. Those two, I think, are mega, absolutely mega. In the way that they've just decided, you've got to remember, Luke's progress, first ever competition, bombed on log, wasn't his favourite thing, wasn't his strong point. Hicksy was in 105, and what they've both incrementally done over the years to claim ownership of this thing, I think it's brilliant. But there is a romantic side of it in terms of, and it's not because I don't want to see Luke with the world record. I do. I'd love to see either of those boys doing it. But what I would love to see is I'd love to see Luke take the British record, take it away from Hicksy, and then let's have a little bit of let's just chip away at one another. But also because I think that sensible side of it is that, do you know what, when you are then going 265, 225, 226, and then you're inching closer because you're concentrated on your next battle
goal
rather than that number. And that number, as we've all experienced at one particular point, even Zydrunas himself has had the issue with it. He chased that record himself for a number of years. To be fair, at one point,
I honestly think this record has been attempted, so many times now. Yeah. Eddie Hall's attempted it. Iron Bibby's attempted it. Hicksy's attempted it. Luke Stoltman's attempted it. Countless other people have attempted it. And Zydrunas has tried it multiple times himself to beat it. It's
even flown with his own log, I think, at one particular point to have a crack.
It shows how impressive it is, how long it's lasted for.
Yeah.
It's going to be a matter of time. It could well be this weekend, but I think there's more likelihood that we get 2 national records.
Yeah.
And the world record lasts just a little bit longer.
Yeah, and we get to see, the likes of Rob, Luke go into Worlds fresh, fit, ready to rock and roll. That's, let's be honest, that's the one thing. That's the one thing to have your eye on all the time. If you can't be up for that, then there's something sort of wrong. It's not to take away from the fact that, these things need to happen. And I know we say in one breath that it's great that we got feats of strength, and it's that condensed. But if you're asking like the sensible side of it, I can't think from an athlete's perspective in terms of, you just know it's around the corner. Mm-hmm. If you knew that's the only thing, and say this was Luke's one attempt for the year, do you know what? I'd probably peg him for it, in terms of you're going to be there and thereabouts.
Well, in the back of his head, he's going to be looking to peak for World's Strongest Man. And to be quite honest, I think he peaked for the log last time round. Yeah. I think he got so close. Yeah. But like I said, as always, I hope I'm wrong. I hope we see a record.
Yeah.
We've ran out of time for this week. I hope you guys have enjoyed the show. It's been, as always, good to chat to you, Marcus. I hope you have a great week. Guys, please comment below. Let us know what you thought of the show. Let us know what you want to see. And always, if you have information and news that we aren't talking about, please message us. We can't see everything. Obviously, we're both British-based, so the focus is British. I know.
Well, you can get us on Instagram as well. So there's
Sweden's Strongest Man is going ahead this weekend. There's other contests all around the world. We want as much information as possible. So if you guys can help us with that, it's just going to help us provide more information for you. Guys, take care. We'll be back next week. While you're here, guys, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my awesome strength content.